Okay, let's say you're an old math dude way back then, in the olden times, and you're trying to, solve for that whole x number divided by x divided by 0 thing. And you take a few assumptions true. You assume that x divided by y times y is equal to x. This makes sense to you because, 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3, and so is equal to 3, and then times 2 would be equal to 6. So that makes sense to you. Then x times 0 is equal to 0 for any x, for all x's. So this seems true too. So let's now say you assume that x is not equal to 0. Okay? And you say that x divided by 0 is equal to k. Okay, but you have this assumption right here, so you're trying to solve this. What x divided by 0 is equal to. You could say that 0 times x times 0 is equal to k, but you have to do the same operation on the other side. Well, if x divided by a number should be multiplied by that number again, it should be equal to x, right? So then this expression should simplify out to x. But by this law, k times x, or x times 0, it should be equal to 0. So that means that k times 0 should be equal to 0. But you've already said that x is not equal to 0. X isn't equal to 0. You're not willing to compromise on that because the whole point is solve whenever x isn't equal to 0. So we have a contradiction here. X is not supposed to be equal to 0, but x just came out to be equal to 0. So the only thing we can say is that this right here is wrong and that k is undefined because x is defined. And whenever we tried to solve for it, we got a number that isn't. Whenever we try to solve for k, we got a number that is x. X can't be 0, so we can't be undefined. So it's undefined. What about, let's try to do x. Let's say x is equal to 0. What happens when x is equal to 0? So we'll assume that, well, actually we're not assuming. We'll say x is equal to 0. So we have x over x is equal to k. Okay. So now let's do the same thing. We'll multiply 0 over 0 times 0, which is equal to k times 0, because we have to do the same thing on both sides. This should simplify down to 0. And let's try to solve k. And this should also simplify down to 0. And what we see is that we just got this expression. But this is true for any x. This is true for all x's. So this means that k could be anything. So we still didn't get any closer to finding what k is by using 0 divided by 0. We tried to find what k is equal to when doing x divided by 0, but it came out as undefined because x became 0, but x isn't 0. And whenever we try to solve for k when doing x is equal to 0, we got that k could be any number. It wasn't equal to anything, it was just any number. So later on, whenever math gets more like nuanced and more complicated, and things like calculus, we would say that k is indeterminate. It cannot be determined. Indeterminate is an indeterminate. It is indeterminate. Because we can't determine what it is. So yeah, this is crazy. Same school.